For me, it's romance.
Romance.
Like I love.
Tell us about that.
Love romance. And it's not just the typical flowers and chocolates, but it's all about doing, going out of your way to do something really, really special for your significant other, for that person that you care about. I don't know, for me, just taking, it sounds so corny, but taking me out dancing, like even to like a dancing class, I don't want to see romance be dead, which kind of feels like it is these days.
And so are you kind of talking about chivalry? Like, is chivalry dead? Is that kind of the frame of your thought on there?
Sure, I guess we could combine it
So
into
romance
that as well.
So you think romance is dead?
I'm not saying romance is dead. I'm saying that romance is not something that I see very often. Not in just myself, but in my friends' relationships and everything. I feel like it's something that I'm seeing in movies and I'm seeing on these, cute little TikTok videos or Instagram and everything, but that's something I want to be a part of. That's what I want my friends to be a part of. And I think romance is truly beautiful.
But is romance something, it's something that men do?
It's something that both men and women can do.
I mean, I feel like most often, though, it's men who are making romantic gestures.
I guess so,
typically.
yeah.
Like, you don't often hear about women buying men flowers, for example.
No, but you can hear about women doing other romantic things for men.
I think it depends on the person, though.
Yeah, it depends on the person, but
Here's-
it is
here's the-
predominantly
let
been
me-
like a men thing.
Actually, you go ahead and then I'll
I was
come
just
in.
going to say, but again,
Closer to the mic.
maybe this is just like my thing, but I personally really like I always bought my ex flowers because I feel like it's fun. Like there is kind of a missing thing that usually it is like men are almost expected to like do the romantic things. And so at least from what I've tried to do with my life is make sure that that's an equal balance between men and women, which is just something that isn't super common. So yes, it is easy to say that, men are expected to do those romantic things, but I mean, there's always a possibility to change, and that's what I try and do with myself.
Sure, and there's something else too that I wanted to say is I really love learning about love languages, and
Actually, before we get to that, I just want to address the whole romance thing.
Yes.
So I think a lot of men are not romantic anymore in response to the changes in the sexual marketplace.
In the what?
In the sexual marketplace, the dating marketplace, if you will. Men haven't really changed. I think it's women who have changed, and men have adapted to the new paradigm. So men don't want to look like suckers. So we're not going to be romantic with a girl because women are, and they're free to do it, but women are sleeping with, I'm not going to be romantic with a girl who's sleeping with two other dudes and she's entertaining another guy. Like, I'm not going to be a traditional guy with a woman who's not traditional. So I'm not going to adhere to traditional gender roles. So being romantic, that could be paying for dates. That could be doing these romantic overtures or whatever. I recommend men don't do this. Other men don't do this either, because it has to go both ways. So, like, I don't want to adhere to my traditional gender roles if a woman is not adhering to hers. And women are not traditional anymore. I should say most women are no longer traditional.
I can see what you're saying, but also I think that's something that has to be spoken from the beginning. And if you and the person that you're hooking up with or dating state that in the beginning, like, hey, and I mean, I understand a lot of people don't, but the lines are very blurred nowadays. I understand what you're saying when it comes to like the dating pool and when it comes to dating apps, it's easier to hook up with people and kind of keep your pool open. But
can I ask a question just
Sure.
based
Sure,
on like
of
what you were
course.
saying was like not, you know, giving that like romantic action to a woman who's actively like seeking out like other men, like you're saying actively sleeping with 2 other men, or would you include as well like a woman who has slept with in the past multiple other men?
Like more so currently.
Okay.
So,
because in my opinion,
I mean, but if she has a high body count, then I'm probably less inclined to want
can I
to
ask
be.
why?
If she slept with 100 men before me, it kind of rubs me, and I think it rubs a lot of men the wrong way. If, like, let's say you've slept with a bunch of men, gave it up first night, and then you come along, and then take me on 7 dates, wine and dine me, do all this other stuff. But for the other guys, you just gave it up.
Sure. I guess that's
now they got it for free, and then I have to do all this work. Like I would feel a certain type of way. And as a woman, you're free to do that. If you slept with 100 men and then you say, I want to wait until marriage, that's within your right to do. But like as a guy, I'm gonna feel like, you've slept with 100 other men. You want me to wait till marriage? No, sorry.
So your goal is just to sleep with her then, though?
What do you mean? My goal?
I mean, not necessarily you, like, specifically, but in this situation, you're saying, like, oh, I'm not going to wine and dine her because in the past she slept with 100 men, but she's, let's say, shown you equal interest. She's interested in you romantically, but because she slept with 100 men, your only goal is you're like, oh, she slept with 100 other men. Why did she want to wait for me?
Wait, so what? Sorry, I'm sorry. By the way, let me shout out Michael Trilston with the big fucking $500 super chat. You're insane, dude. Jesus Christ. Okay, we'll get your super chat after we just finish off this little riff here. But hey, thank you for the $500. Dude, you're going crazy. You're not going crazy, but you're a fucking legend, Mike Trilstein. Thank you, man, for the insane support of the show, dude. So, okay, sorry, I got distracted there by the super chat.
I can rephrase.
Yeah, could you rephrase it? Sorry.
Yeah. So I feel like just in the way that you were saying this situation of like, oh, she slept with 100 men. Now, like, she gave it up so easy for them. Why not me in this situation, right? I feel like from your perspective, you're assuming that, like, the goal is to have sex with this woman. She doesn't want to have sex with me right now. She's not giving it up like she used to for other people. So you saying, like, I don't want to pursue her romantically, I mean, isn't that the point anyway? Like, I just don't think it makes sense. Like, if you're not trying to pursue her romantically, like, obviously you're not going to do those things. From that statement, you're saying, I wanted her to have sex with me. She doesn't want to have sex with me right now. She's interested in me romantically. I don't know maybe if I'm not explaining it correctly. Well,
I would say first off, if I knew that a girl had slept with 100 men previously, don't hate me, guys. I don't even want to sleep with her once.
Yeah.
At that point.
No, and I mean valid.
That's
like
very
completely valid. I feel like maybe using 100 is not necessarily, like, what would you consider your
a high body count?
Yeah. What would you consider a high body count?
I'm curious.
Yeah, we can talk about body count. I'll just wrap up sort of the romantic component to it. So it's just kind of like, if I don't want to do sort of the romantic stuff with a girl, like if I know she's seeing other guys, if you're seeing other guys, then you're hooking up with other dudes, but then you want me to like do all that. It's just kind of, I'm going to treat you with respect, but I'm not going to do this extra shit. I'm not going to be like, let me pick you up and pay for the date. I'm not going to do that. I'll still treat you with respect, but I might not. Well, first off, if I know ahead of time that she's sleeping with other men, it's a wrap. I've lost all interest.
Yeah.
I've lost all interest.
No, it makes sense.
And the thing is, though, when it comes to dating, like, you kind of, you can't assume that they're going to be honest with something like that. This applies to both men and women. Like,
absolutely,
if a guy is hooking up with another girl, he might not be upfront with you that he's seen another girl while he's pursuing you too, or you're pursuing him, however you want to frame it. But yeah, it's, I would have pretty serious issue with that. And certainly, like, okay, this is the example I like to often give. The worst thing not the worst thing, but a really bad thing that could happen as a guy, you do the romantic shit, but you get played. So what happens is you take the girl out on a date, you pay for the food, you take her to sushi, hibachi, go to Benihana, whatever. She gets a to-go baggie. You paid for it. She gives you the ass out hug. You know, the ass out. Gives you a little kiss on the cheek. Thank you. Takes the doggy bag, calls up her sneaky link, the guy who she's fucking, goes over to his house, gives him the food that you paid for. Then he eats your leftovers that you paid for.
She's shit.
Like, that's the biggest
Yeah.
L.
Like right off the
Yeah.
bat, she's a shit
No.
person.
Yeah.
But like, that happens though.
How
in today's
often,
day and
though,
age,
can
that
I, like,
well, I mean, the whole
if you're realistically
the
that's a very
Benihana
specific
scenario,
It's
that's
so
a
funny
specific.
because I
situation, but-
never think of something like this happening because I would never do something like that. And when I said romance, I guess I should have clarified that you start to get to know someone, you like them, you start spending more time with each other, and you've had that conversation that you are seeing just each other. Then the romance. But
I completely
romance-
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
romance right out the gate. Sure, that could be nice, that could be fun, that could be surprising, but that's not something that I'm
Yeah.
expecting when I first start dating someone, when I could also be dating another person to just get to know people, see, you know, who do I like, who do I care about.
Yeah, I agree with her
So I
completely.
should have been a little more
Yeah.
clear about that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, sorry, did you want to come in here?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, I agree with her, and I also, like, saw a comment, too, that said the same thing, that it should come later. It shouldn't be, like, what you're saying is totally valid, because why do you want to give
Yeah.
somebody everything and be so good to them when they could be hooking up with other people?
Exactly, and I
Yeah.
When-
agreed with Brian
yeah,
there, too.
Yeah, when you're both hooking up with other people, it's totally fine to not be romantic
Yeah.
because it's not romantic. But when you're dating and you're exclusive, then I feel like that's when the romance is expected, but it should go both ways as well.
I also feel like it shouldn't be expected right off the bat when you just start hooking up with someone. I think it takes time to get to know
Yes.
someone, especially when you're hooking up over and over again. You know, you're spending more time with the person, and then it kind of makes you realize, like, oh, there's something, you know, that interests me in this person. And it's really situational. I think, like, obviously I wouldn't want to put my all into someone who's also seeing multiple people, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've done
But-
that before.
And I think the way that the dating marketplace is today in 2022, for both men and women, you kind of have to assume going in that they're at least sleeping with one other person. Maybe some people might disagree and think that's a stretch, but I think that's kind of like the bare minimum. They could be sleeping with multiple people. On the low end, they're at least entertaining, like dating. They might not be sleeping with anybody, but they probably are. They're probably dating other people, which, you know, I think does not lend itself to serious relationships developing, if that's something that you want.
I think it's totally valid to assume that in modern dating. I think, you know, as the times have gone more and like we've gone more into technology, it becomes easier to access, you know, just anyone on the internet. Like you
Yep.
could be on Tinder and message someone from New York, or
Yeah,
even
wow.
just through Instagram, you know, like it's really easy. And then that plays into, you know, sex has become a very casual thing, and that's totally okay if, you know, you like to go out and that's your goal is to hook up with people. But I think it's something that you have to make very clear, and it's okay to assume those things for
Yeah.
sure.
And I think like what you were talking about earlier about communication, people need to be very specific as
Yes.
to what they're looking for.
Yes.
If you're looking for a
100%.
hookup and you just want to fuck, then you need to say that. You need to
Yes.
say, I just want to fuck, and that's it. If you're like, I don't want you to be talking to other people, I want to be exclusive, then you need to say that. If you're not clear about it, you can't get mad at them for hooking up with other people if you don't specifically say that I want to be exclusive.
Also, in
Yeah.
dating, don't ever assume.
I agree.
Yeah. So let me just address that. I think the one issue there, though, is that if a guy were to be, and I think it's unfortunate, if a guy were to be upfront with that, hey, I just want to hook up, I think a lot of women probably are going to be like, no.